Welcome everybody to a very, very special edition of Rider Real Time. Certainly one completely unlike anything we've done on here before, because it is our first ever retrospective episode looking at the history of Rider Real Time, how it came to be, and some of my all-time favorite moments on this show. I often get asked how we got started with Rider Real Time, why I did it, and where the idea came from. And it's actually a pretty interesting story, I think. When I was a student here at Rider, a good friend of mine was a intern for the Regis and Kelly show, and was invited me to be a guest in the audience on the episode in which Madonna was going to be the actual guest of the day. So when I went on the show to see this, I watched. I was obviously amazed by how to see Madonna, but even more so amazed to actually see the inner workings of a TV studio and just see how efficient and incredible the entire staff was. And it got me thinking about, well, how cool would it be if we did a talk show on Rider's campus to introduce who some of these people that we see in the dining hall, in the academic buildings, and in the student centers are. And also, just get to know them on a completely different level than we usually know them at work. So that's how we got started with Rider Real Time. It's been a show that has evolved from a grainy show on YouTube to this high-quality show that we have on Vimeo and the Rider Network, and we've evolved along with them, with some great student staff and some great viewership along the way. So on this special edition, I want to talk about some of my favorite moments, some of my lessons that I've learned, some of the great figures that I've met here at Rider. My first clip is going to be from last year's Student Entertainment Council President, Megan Studwell. Now, when Megan was here, we were talking about the fun side of Rider Real Time, less about the introspective, reflective moments. In this clip you'll see of her, we're going to talk about Willow and Jaden Smith and Justin Bieber, and for that momentary time when I was feeling the Bieber fever. But Megan is someone who is, I can promise you, first of all, that it was just a moment. I do not still have Bieber fever. But Megan is someone who is interesting to me because as a student here, I don't think she ever pictured herself to become holding a high position on campus. And here she is graduating, holding one of the very highest levels of the entire school, but also the highest position within her organization. And she is someone who I can promise you, in her freshman year, would have never been doing an interview such as this.
Really?
With Willow Smith.
I whip my hair back and forth.
Yes, that one. Yes. I'm a little uncomfortable about that. I don't enjoy the Smith kids. Jaden
Why?
or Willow. Well, okay. They're young. So let's get that away. Both talented, I'm sure. Actually, I didn't see the next Karate Kid. But I assume that Jaden is talented. Although I saw him on the Grammys with Justin Bieber the other day, who I have Bieber fever.
No, you
Yes,
don't.
I do. I enjoy Justin Bieber. I have Somebody to Love, Baby, Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo Lover, and just today, Never Say Never on my iPod.
Have you seen Never Say Never in 3D?
No, have you?
No.
Okay.
Let's
well, we
go.
might have to go together.
Okay.
But I get it's for me, it's awkward to watch these children, particularly young Willow, who's 9 years old, performing. But and more so to have Will and Jada in the background clapping. I have a theory that nobody really likes Jada Pinkett Smith except for Jada
Why?
Pinkett Smith. I don't know. I find her a little irritating.
She seems a little rough around the edges.
A little rough, a little tough.
Not-
Carson Langenfelder, who is the Director of External Operations here at Rider, has dubbed himself as having the Oprah effect here on Rider Real Time, because he is, according to the viewership online, the most viewed guest here that's ever come to Rider Real Time. Carson is, without question, one of the best friends I've ever had in my entire life, and he is someone who I connected with here at Rider as an undergraduate student. We were competitors, best friends, confidants, and even into our professional career here when we graduated together and both started working at the same time, all of those things. I look to him as someone who is the tastemaker and as someone who has his fingers on the pulse of a lot of different things, both at Rider and outside Rider. While I don't know that he had the Oprah effect, I think he definitely had the reflective effect on me as we got to look back at some of the great moments. I don't have really that much of a warmth to a lot of campus traditions like Midnight Madness or University Day, but I do have a real warmth to the concerts here at Rider, because it was something I really have taken ownership over the past couple of years. So in this clip that we're going to see, Carson and I relive a concert from before my time as the event planner. We're actually reviewing, we talk about one of the concerts when we were students. And we'll see if Carson can retain the crown when he's invited back here closer to the end of this season. Because you hadn't been on the show yet. And of course,
Correct.
Well, of course, Carson and I are very good friends. First of all, let's get that out of the way. But as I said to you, you are someone who's only meant for a season premiere or a season finale.
Nobody remembers who was on Oprah's first show.
Yeah.
But he must
Howie
have sticks
Day,
on
do you
my
remember
mind.
that concert?
I do remember the Howie Day concert, but I remember it for more of the spectacle,
The spectacle,
that surrounded
yep.
the campus. That was in the Cavallo Room.
Sure.
And it was part of the Verizon Wireless Tour.
That's right.
And they brought in all that crazy stuff in the lobby, and then, you know, he just had these crazy antics on stage. And,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, nobody remembers that concert for the music.
Yeah, Karen Torsha, the most downloaded woman at Rider, the supreme queen of Rider University, has been a guest here 4 times. And each time, I can tell you for sure that she brings the goods. But on this most recent episode of Rider Real Time, which took place for Midnight Macness in the 2011 Macness Goes Galactic version, she was joined by 2 very special guests, her graduate assistant, Dante Cardi, and our graduate assistant and my best friend, Andrew Lobrace. And we had worked together all day and the week prior on developing this year's Midnight Macness. Since that episode, I could say it was the toughest episode to edit, I'm sure, for the real-time team, most notably JT Fetch. But what I would also say is by far the best episode of Rider Real Time. And one of my favorite things about Rider Real Time is having that conversation with the guests when they first get here and have them not realize why they're here. Start giving the stilted answers about you know what they think I want to hear or what they think that the administration wants to hear or something like that. And then we get them with their guard down a little, and you see both the fun side and the real personality side. And in this clip that you're going to see is actually what I think was the heart of this show and the heart of Rider. And it's Karen, Dante, and Andrew all talking about what they know for sure. Why we always ask people what they know for sure is simple. It's in Oprah's magazine, as I always say. She closes every magazine asking, what do you know for sure, or writing what she knows for sure. And I think this really helps us identify from the administrators here what lessons have impacted them and what do they impart on the students that they work with. So let's see what they know for sure.
I learned this from a mentor years ago when I was in college, and it's this one phrase that I say all the time, and it's mistakes are stepping stones to success. Because nobody's ever going to get anywhere in life without making a mistake along the way. And when you do make a mistake, it's that lesson that you learn from doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've made plenty, but every time I've made a mistake, I've taken a chance to look back and be like, okay,
Yeah.
this is what I learned from that, and this is why I'm not going to do that again. So I tell it to the freshman seminar kids. I tell it to any of the athletes that I meet with, and you can't be afraid to fail. Like,
Can never be.
You're gonna. It's when you fail and you get back up and you keep moving that's where you really figure out who you are.
Absolutely. Mr. Cardi?
What I try to teach our students and anybody that comes is you gotta have fun. You know, we're here and we're stressing out sometimes, and if you don't find the fun in it, then it won't be worth anything. So always look for the fun in whatever it is we're doing, whether we're here cleaning up rock goo.
Yeah.
You gotta have some fun with it, and I think last night was a perfect example of
Perfect.
even
Yes.
though we're miserable scraping carpets, we were having fun, laughing, joking, and
That's true. Let me tell you a true story last night. I mean, those are the moments where you remember. And when this is a honest guy's story. When I dropped Andrew off to his residence hall yesterday, I called Karen on the phone. I said, for as wild and wacky as tonight was, this is the most fun I've ever had with you. And we're a team here. We're gonna have the hiccup moments, I'm sure, later tonight.
Yeah,
We're all
exactly.
tested.
We're not going to be this calm.
But it is about fun. And Andrew, it's kind of hard to ask you such a serious question as you're dressed in a astronaut costume.
Thank you.
But what do you know for sure?
For me, I like to live by trying to step out of your shell once in a while and get involved. I think a lot of people always get comfortable just by doing the same things over and over and build up just a routine. but by getting involved in different things that you're not used to, I think really develops you and develops your character.
Absolutely.
So-
Now, you guys are two students here, graduate students here, who will be finishing up in May. You're both of your respective programs. What do you hope, each of you, is your legacy here, right? Because Karen and I are going to still be continuing to build on our legacy, which is no doubt a lot of Magnus. But Dante, what do you think your legacy is here?
To really,
Or would you hope it to be?
I hope it is that you really give your all. You never know what Karen is going to assign me at any given day. She's going to
Sure.
come with a long list of things and say, Dante, build a moon rock.
She's tough.
And I'm like, I have no idea how to build a moon rock. But when you really give it your all and you really sit down and think and put your effort into something, you get a quality product. And that's what I hope, everybody comes after me. All of our workers know that, regardless of what happens, if you really try and you really give it your all, you have to be satisfied with the end product.
Absolutely. Andrew, your legacy here.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, for me, it's just follow your heart and do what you love. I know, for me, when I started here, I was a little skeptical, a little unsure on kind of the path that I was going. But it's so throughout the past few years that I've started, I think I've really come a long way in being able to figure out what that's going to lead. So
And where is it going to lead?
it's going to lead probably outside the business realm, such as that I've been brought up to do.
You know what we call that? An aha moment.
An aha.
So
I often tell the students that I work with in the Student Entertainment Council, Lambda Theta Phi, the Association of Commuting Students, that they're in the business when they do events on campus of not just doing things to satisfy their ego, but to satisfy the needs of the students, and in the process, create memories for students. Nicole Halpin is someone who not only, I think, created a lot of memories for students, but she made a lot of memories for me, and she lived a lot of memories as a Rider student. When she was on last year with Zach Braff, they were talking about the concert, the Jason Derulo concert, which they'd worked on. Nicole was a graduating senior. She was the special events chair along with Zach in the Student Entertainment Council. And here they have this mammoth stage behind them. It was a really, really good show, but it was also just a really impressive atmosphere. But more impressive than the atmosphere was, I think, Nicole demonstrating a real understanding of that feel-good moment that all events on campus should be judged against. So I asked Nicole what her favorite Rider memory was, and this was her response.
Oh my gosh. I have so many memories at Rider. Well, one of them that definitely stands out was last year during the Sean Kingston concert. We were a bunch of us were up on the track, and Firebird on the Dance Floor was on, and literally the entire SRC was shaking, and we all just looked at each other and went,
this is so cool.
look at it.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine what that moment's going to feel like this year, the fact that I actually have my name attached to the program.
Yeah,
So.
that's great. Is that
And as you can see, the Sean Kingston concert was not only just her a big good event, but it was also her greatest time, I think, up until the Jason Derulo moment, which I think if we had asked her after that show what her favorite moment was, I think that would have actually been her answer. We'll see what she writes on the comment board if she agrees. But I also asked Dave Keenan, my boss, who's the director of Campus Life, a similar question. What event does he, a guy who's been here for years, which one stands out for him? And his was an interesting choice. And he mentions Midnight Magnus in his answer, and I'll let him embellish in this next clip. But for me, what's most interesting is that he chose something very recent in his career working at Rider. And up until the point of this Magnus, he'd been here for years. And I think the lesson that I learned from it is that you can keep evolving, you can keep one-upping yourself, you can keep doing better. And I know that that's a lesson that I like to live by, and something that I would hope to continue to live by. I have a quote on the back of my screensaver in my office that reads, if you would still do your job and not get paid for it, you're on the path to happiness. And I think a lesson of having something be the most great moment of your professional career happen just very recently shows that you just keep getting better. So let's relive Dave's favorite event on campus.
If I had to pick one event that I think I really enjoyed, and this is not to promote your ego, but I think the first Midnight Mactus that you and I did together,
Yeah.
about 3 years ago when we did Mactus Goes Medieval, and just the idea of recreating that medieval village outside and really expanding the Midnight Mactus to be more than just putting on a show. It was participatory and it brought once again the community together. I look at that as being one of the most fun events we did on campus.
Definitely felt the most interactive,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
If there's one thing that's in common of every student who's ever been a guest here on Rider Real Time, it's that they are in the moment, both trying to create a clip that they can look back on when they get older, I think, when they leave here at Rider, as well as also in the moment, currently present, impress their fellow students when they see it on TV. But one thing that I've seen over and over again when I've interviewed students in this setting is that desire to leave a legacy. It's something that it surprises me the students are constantly aware of, that they always want to be remembered for something, that they always want to be known for something. And that's become apparent to me over the years. And I wasn't even aware of legacy really until my senior year, when I think when most senior students start questioning, has the stuff that they've done mattered? Has the imprint that they left, is it indelible? Is it as deep as their fellow students? And I remember feeling that way when I was a student. I remember also being very cognizant of that feeling that this is the last of the best moments here at Rider. So how can we make this better than it's been, than previous classes had done? And I remember Brian Guzman, who was last year's SGA president, talking to me about legacy. And I didn't work with Brian that much. I didn't know him very well. But I thought some of the interesting points that he made in the next clip stood out to me, because they were very, very reflective, but also is highlighted a way in which you should go about making decisions and taking risks. And really, finding your legacy by creating something that's never been done before. As we're kind of looking towards commencement for you this upcoming May, we have a legacy, obviously, that we all leave behind, and each leave a little piece of Rider. At least we're charged to when we first get here at orientation. What is the legacy of Brian Guzman here on campus?
What I would hope for it to be would be for any kind of leader to just kind of interpret things for themselves.
Okay.
I feel like one of the things I tried really hard to do this year was to do things differently. I think that if it's always great to try new things. It's always great to say, what if? Why don't we try this instead? And I feel like throughout this entire year, myself and my executive board have been doing that.
Sure.
So I hope that, when future leaders look back on, my administration, they'll say, why don't we just try things differently? Why do we have to stay put on this, tradition that could be better, could be different?
Ira Mayo. I don't even know where to begin with this, other than to say it was my favorite episode that I've ever done. I've been intimidated in here before to be nervous, and am I gonna mumble my words, or is the person sitting next to me my friend? Is it one of my students who I want to impress by showing them, as I am doing right now as my freshman seminar students, and Joyce Suarez is watching me. But this one was intimidating to me because he's a dean of students, and over again I've poked jokes at the fact that I thought he called me fat over the years, which he didn't. In the subsequent episodes I'd said he did, and he didn't. But one thing I did say to Ira Mayo, who is the dean of freshmen here, was that he changed the course of my life and didn't even realize it. When I was a freshman here, registering for classes, I didn't know which classes to take. My classes had been filled. I was one of the last days of registration. And he, in a single decision, changed the rest of my academic career by putting me in a political science class when I was a marketing major. So as I'm testing out this class just to use as elective, in the process, found an entire new way of thinking, an entire new way of working, an entire new academic career that I really was interested in and really was impressed by, and I subsequently became a political science major. Well, the person that's class I had that really changed my life was Dave Rebovich, who is without question the best teacher I've ever had. He was the most fun teacher I've ever had. He was the smartest teacher I've ever had, and I think the most real teacher I ever had. The best teachers for me were the ones that could connect not just on a level of academic, but also on the interpersonal, and I think he had that. We have subsequently lost Dave Rebovich. He passed away in 2007, and I don't think anyone quite captured his contributions here as well as Ira Mayo did on the show, which I think was one of the most deep moments we've ever had on Rider Real Time.
Dr. Rebovich was a great man. He was entertaining.
Sure.
He was, one of the other things, going back to your question about, great moments, there were also some very sad moments.
Terrible.
Losing Dr. Rebovich was one of those. That was a shock, tremendous loss to Rider.
Yeah.
He was so engaging and so funny and entertaining that students didn't realize they were learning stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you can probably speak to that better than I can, but
Yeah.
we've had a number of people like that just, they make learning fun. Some of the greatest teachers we have here are those people that students just look forward to going to their class.
Yeah.
He was a tremendous loss, and I still miss him.
Yeah, I had him many. We've had random people come on this show, the people that I've pulled out from like the commuter lounge to come sit on the show. But one of the most random ones that ever happened was a Rider alum who was a dear, dear friend of mine, Teresa Androvette, when we were in college, and still is someone who's a very good friend of mine, was just simply walking by to say hi. The guest of the day had canceled a few moments earlier, threw Teresa in the chair, and reflected on just kind of our college careers and kind of gave everyone a taste of what I was like in college, and I can assure you it was messy and brilliant at the same time. But her statement was actually, because it was just so unprepared, I think she gave us a lot to think about in terms of how you as students can change your experience, how your high school you doesn't define who your college you is going to be, and how the college you doesn't necessarily define what you're going to make of your life when you graduate. So it was a real pleasure actually to have Teresa on the show, and I'd like to do that more, to have some alum to kind of get their different perspectives on what they thought then versus what they think now. And heck, I would even love to pick Teresa's brain a little bit more as the years go by, to think, is what she thinks at 25 the same thing that she'll think of at 35? We'll see if Real Time's still around that long.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had so much fun together all those years and everything, but I do want to ask you, would you change anything about your college experience?
Absolutely not. I
No?
tell people that when I just got, my new position, my interview was like an hour and a half, and I mentioned college, I want to say like 20
Really?
times.
Okay.
Just because I was like, I had so much life experience here. If I never went away to school, I don't think I'd be in the same place I'm at.
But so those are just a taste of my favorite moments, and I can assure you that all the great moments are still left to come. These are just some of my favorites that we've already seen. I do have such dream guests that I would love to have on this show. A couple of them that I've thought crossed my mind. I've always mentioned I'd love to have President Rosansky on the show, talk to him about his perspective of some of the big moments that since he's been here. Have Dean Campbell on as well. But my favorite moments are undoubtedly when the students come on, because I love to share with them their stories and compare them with mine. But I also really like to kind of capture on screen some of the relationships that I've had with students over the years. Some of the best student clips I've had weren't on the Vimeo years, so we don't really have high quality clips of them, but I know where they are, and I know that we've had those conversations, so that's a real treasure for me. I would love to have my entire group of guys from the Lambda Theta Phi Latin fraternity incorporated on to kind of capture them in this moment of their lives, so that they could look back on this as something that's important to them. And as always, the SEC presidents, the SGA presidents, because those are the guys who shape the campus that we live on, the campus that we love, the campus that has changed me. As I was kind of reflecting before this episode, I've realized I've been here for 8 complete years here at Rider. And if I could relive one set of 4 years, I would, without question, relive the last 4 years. Because I can assure you, in these past 4 years when I've been doing Real Time and been an administrator here, they have, without question, been the very best years of my life. Thank you, everybody, and I appreciate you always. Have a great week.